YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy Carl coming back at you from Golden Agreement Productions. This time around, we are going to be reacting to the best Larry Bird three-point shooting story ever told. Okay, if you are new, please like, share, and subscribe to the video and the channel. I greatly appreciate it. I already know where I think this one's going, bro. Just about to look. I remember this segment between JJ Redick and I can't think of the guy's name to the right, but he basically said that Larry Bird was not a top 5 three-point shooter, which I disagree, but yeah, we're gonna get into this video.
Great shooters in the history of the sport, not even close. Not good. He was great. He's one of the top 5 three-point shooters of all time. That's how good Bird is. Oh, yes.
We're not
three-point shooting contests. He was phenomenal. Bird's a great shooter.
This is the face of a Larry Bird denier, because one seemingly innocuous comment about how great of a three-point shooter Larry Bird was had him all in his feelings.
Doggy, it's just math. It's attempts, it's makes, and it's percentage. And there's no way you could ever argue Larry Bird is a top 3 three-point shooter of all time. There's plenty of people that have shot more, made more, and guess what? Made more at a higher percentage than Larry Bird from 3.
Okay, I hate this argument, bro. Like I legitimately, and a lot of people gave him flack, but I hate this argument because they say he didn't have a large enough sample size as a three-point shooter, when in reality, like, that's cool, but he didn't. But the threes that he was making, a lot of these players today can't even make under pressure. You know what I'm saying? Like, Steph Curry is slated as the greatest three-point shooter of all time, but Steph hasn't even hit some of the biggest threes that Larry's hit, and I know that, and I'm in the generation with Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, I don't know.
3. He's not one of the greatest three-point shooters ever.
Now, as someone who claims to be a student of the game, why in the world would JJ Redick say something so idiotic? In the words of the great Roy Jones Jr., y'all must have forgot. JJ Redick, this video is dedicated to you.
I lived that 80s era, and Larry Bird was one of the greatest three-point shooters that's ever played this game. Fuck percentages. It ain't about that. It's about hitting big shots, things that he couldn't do as a player.
Okay, I don't fully agree with the percentage part. I do think to a certain extent you do gauge a player based off of the percentage of threes they've made. But there are cases like Larry Bird's where you kind of like, nah, you can't really base that off percentages because he didn't have as big a sample size as a lot of players now. The game today is nothing but threes. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing but three-pointers. Larry was doing it at a time when people weren't doing it.
Larry Bird hit more big three-point shots than anyone, even to this day. And he did it in supreme fashion while trash talking every step of the way.
We're playing Phoenix, and we're way ahead, okay? When we're down in the old Saddle Dome that they had outside.
Right.
And Larry, you know, we're playing good as a team. Larry has the worst fourth quarter known to man. I mean, he's throwing the ball to the other team. I'm like, good Lord, we had like a 15-point lead. Next thing you know, we're down 2. And I'm like, oh, how in the world are we going to lose this game, man? So we have a play, out of bounds play. Larry says, I'm going to bust off the play, and I'm just going to come out, and I'm going to shoot a 3. And I'm like, no, don't do that. I'm like, let's shoot a 2, please. Go to the hole, try to get fouled. Let's just get into overtime, see if we can't win this game. So, you know, Larry not only tells me that, he walked by the bench and says, you know, typical Birdie, just real slow, fixing to bust a 3 on your guys and go home. And so he breaks the play.
Max looking, loops it to Bird, a runner. It's good! It's good! And the Celtics win it! Bird hits and the Celtics win it! 103 to 101, a three-pointer by Larry Bird at the buzzer.
And he gets the ball, jumps out, busts the play, comes out, gets the ball at the slot, shoots the ball. As the ball's in the air, he kind of turns towards the Phoenix bench and yells, "Told you so!" He's off running to the locker room. And I just started laughing. I was like, oh, man. That was Birdie. And just he had the confidence. Man, that dude had so much confidence. He talked to the coaches. He talked to everybody. He was talking trash all the time, man. But fun. Great competitor, man.
And what Kevin McHale failed to mention is that Larry Bird had not taken a single three-pointer that entire game.
Hey, JJ, I hope you're listening. Larry Bird was the first player to make the three-point shot a strategic weapon. You know, you weren't out there taking 14 or 15. He liked to use it as a dagger in the fourth quarter. Nobody else used it as strategically as Larry Bird did.
Even Michael Jordan understood that shooting too many threes was not the best way to win.
Here's Jordan for three. Yes! Did you see that look?
When you have that mentality, as I found out in the first game, of making threes, you don't go to the hole as much. You go to the three-point line and you start sitting there waiting for someone to find you. And that's not my mentality. And I don't want to create that because it takes away from all phases of my game. My game is a fake drive to the hole, penetrate, dish off, dunk or whatever.
But for some reason, JJ Redick actually thinks basketball is just a math equation. And he couldn't be more wrong. Just because 3 is more than 2 doesn't mean you should jack up a bunch of threes. Larry Bird not only was a great three-point shooter, but he had one of the highest basketball IQ.
Why would they show the Rockets? Like, that's not a good example. The Rockets are terrible when it comes to three-point shoot. Like, they shoot a lot of them. Like, I think they should use the Warriors, for instance. This is why when people bring up the argument about why they say they think Larry Bird is a better three-point shooter than Steph Curry. Now, Larry probably is a better most likely is a bigger shot maker than Steph Curry. But Steph Curry changed how the three-point is implemented into the offense overall. Nobody had ever seen a player like Steph Curry in regards to off ball. You know what I'm saying? Like, Steph Curry is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest off ball three-point shooter to ever live in this game. But it's like I said, it changed the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So his claim to the top is just as valid as Larry's claim to the top of the three-point mountain. You know what I'm saying? So
in NBA history, and even he never averaged over 4 three-point attempts per game in any season. But he shot them and made them when they truly mattered. Like in this game, when the Celtics were down by 3 with 7 seconds to go. And then this happened.
Crowd is standing up. It goes now to Bird. Bird goes up top. And a three-point field goal to Bird. 4 seconds left. He hits it. And it's all tied up again. My goodness.
And if you think that one-legged three-point shot was luck, well, explain this. Because in that same game, in overtime, with 2 seconds left, and the Celtics down by 1, this happened.
Danny Ainge to inbounds for the Celtics, trailing by 1, 2 seconds left. Into Bird, he fires. Yes! And the Celtics win! Unbelievable! Larry Bird at the buzzer!
There's something to be said for the guy who does it when you have to have it done, as opposed to those guys that can do it for the first 3 quarters. But do you see Steph Curry? Can you say he's the best shooter that we've ever seen?
No, I don't know about that. The thing is, anybody can shoot it when it's tied. It's when you're down 1 or down 2. I mean, how many guys make that shot?
But since JJ Redick loves, let's compare prime Larry Bird's three-point numbers with Steph Curry's 2016 unanimous MVP season. Steph Curry shot 45.4% from 3, while Larry Bird shot 42.3% from 3. Now, in a vacuum, using only this number, the unsophisticated analyst might assume that Steph Curry was a better three-point shooter than Larry Bird, but not so fast. How about we compare each player to the three-point shooters of their own era? In 2016, the league average three-point percentage was 35.4%. This means that Steph Curry was 28% better than league average. In 1985, the league average three-point percentage was 28.2%. This means that Larry Bird was 51% better than league average. So, in reality,
Okay, respectfully. All right, respectfully. I don't like this stat right here, nor do I like this comparison, because we're talking about 2 different eras. We're talking about 2 different eras of ball. They didn't shoot threes like that when Larry was hooping. Larry was a revolutionary. Bro, the man was 6'10" shooting the 3. Nobody was really jacking up threes like that. One, the reason being, the 3 ball hadn't been in the league that long. So to put that stat up there is crazy to me, especially when you're making your argument. Because there were a lot more three-point shooters but at that time in 2016 when Steph Curry was doing it. So the reality of it is that's a bad metric, bro. That's a terrible metric in regards to that. Because of course, the three-point percentage is going to be a lot higher for Steph Curry than because there's more three-point shooters. At that time, they were positionless. I don't know, bro. I don't like this argument. I'm not discrediting Larry though. I'm not doing that. I just hate these pointless stats when the reality of we're in the 3-ball era. Like, of course it's going to be higher.
Bird dominated the 3-point line in his era even better than 2016 unanimous MVP Steph Curry. But numbers don't make an argument. Their only purpose is to supplement what we already know to be true.
If the three-point shot was what it is today, back in the 80s, Bird would have scored 50 a game. He made every mid-ranger in the world, and he was a 90% free throw shooter. Outside of one jumper when he missed a Game 4 jumper against Magic, he had a broken hand. I don't recall ever a big shot in a big game that he ever missed.
So.
Yeah, see, but this makes my point. This right here makes my point. If the 3-ball was what it is today in Larry's game, he would have shot 50. The reality of it is, right? But also, if the 3-ball was what it is today, there will be more 3-point shooters. So the numbers would be higher for the makes of the other players as well as Larry Bird. Because if they shooting threes, you're going to make more of them the more you shoot, or at least that's what the hope is. But I'm saying they use that argument of the percentage being higher of makes now against Steph Curry and them, and they use the low percentage of how many they were taking during Larry's time to boost up why he was a better one. Now, I do agree. JJ Redick was idiotic for even saying that he's not top 5. Larry's easily top 3 in my opinion. Like, let's keep it funky. He's top 3. I'm sorry, I'm a little riled up. I really do this argument gets under my skin, but
answer this question. If you need one player to hit one 3-point shot to save your life, who are you taking? Steph Curry,
Larry,
who lost the 3-point shooting contest 5 times to his peers? Or Larry Bird, who won the 3-point shooting contest back to back to back?
There were pros back then, there were cons back then. But to say anything disparaging about Larry Bird and his perimeter shooting and his 3-point shooting, asinine. Like, JJ, he probably beat your ass in a 3-point shooting contest today.
And though it sounds like hyperbole, this is what a 60-year-old Larry Bird did at an Indiana Pacers practice.
So the whole team is just stretching, and Larry just walks on the court, grabbed the ball, and started jacking threes like, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. I'm looking at everybody. I'm like, do y'all see this right now? And he made like at least 10 in a row threes, like just in a row, and walked off and sat like he ain't do nothing. Like it was regular, and folded his legs and just sitting there looking at us. I'm like, yo, this guy's nice. I'm like, man, that's a legend right there.
Speaking of shooting threes, Coach, you at the 3-point competition, walking in the locker room, who's playing? Did you really say that? Who's playing for second?
Yeah, I did. I sort of felt bad because Leon Wood never crossed the 3-point line. All he did was he always shot threes. So I thought he might be the competition. When I walked in there, he's sitting there, and I said, okay, now they're down to the nitty-gritty. Who's coming in second? You already know who's going to win this. I think they were a little nervous.
And after Larry Bird hit 11 straight threes in this final round, he decided to hit one off the backboard. Just for fun.
Oh, wait a second. Off the glass.
That chick's had my name on it for a week now, and I knew I was going to win this thing.
And then the walk off with your hand up. I mean, come on, Coach. Come on.
You know, when you're shooting them, you don't know what the score is.
Right.
But I had a feeling by the way the crowd was going, I had to make the last one. And that one there looked perfect all the way. So if it would have bounced out, I would have felt like an idiot.
Well,
but it went in. I got lucky and got the check and went home.
Larry Bird winning the long-distance shootout for the 3rd year in a row.
Now imagine that. Larry Bird, who didn't even see a three-point line until after he entered the NBA.
Take it in the face, then now watch him shoot it. Unbelievable. You know how far away that is?
Somehow became the greatest, most clutch three-point shooter of all time. And he did it in the most physical era of basketball. I don't care what JJ Redick says.
Right.
When I watch Steph Curry off the ball in a playoff game,
Oh, he's great. I
getting
know that.
grabbed and held by Marcus Smart, they're attached to him at all times.
Right.
Then when I watch Larry Bird come off a pin down and no one's within 5 feet of him and they're shooting the gap, you're telling me one is more physical than the other?
JJ, he lost me with that. Like, he lost me with that, bro. Because the reality of it is there was a lot more physicality outside of those pin downs that was going on in those games where Larry was playing. Not even to the room, not even close. Steph don't get beat up nowhere near as much as this Larry was getting beat up, bruh. Like, yeah, I don't like that from JJ. I ain't gonna lie.
The other? You're telling me that's more physical than Steph Curry being grabbed and held for 48 minutes?
Yeah.
Well, JJ continues to embarrass his university and diminishes the worth of a Duke degree by speaking with such colossal ignorance in public, with such arrogance.
They gotta chill. It's not ignorance for him to speak his point of view, bro. I don't like these, and like when somebody says something that they don't agree with, that doesn't make him an idiot. That doesn't make it ignorant. That's his point of view and how he sees the game based off of him playing the game and watching other people play the game. I don't like that. I've never told anybody that now, I will say some things are idiotic that he might say, but I'm not gonna call the man an idiot. You could say an idiotic thing and not be an idiot, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they attack this man like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Larry Legend fans do be going hard in the paint, bro.
It's an authority. It's idiocy that suggests that a no hand checking finesse league where people are camping out 42.5 feet from the basket is more physical than the NBA of 30. Oh my God, let's talk about 50 or 60 years ago, but even 30 years ago. What does he come up with this? This defies common sense.
And Michael Cooper, who was Larry Bird's toughest defender in the 80s, took JJ Redick's comments very personally.
You know what? Watch your mouth, man, when you're talking about former players and who can do this and who can do that. Because the game changed in the 80s because it was so physical. In today's NBA, I don't know what game he's looking at. You can't touch the guy. Anytime you touch anybody, a three-point shooter, come close to them when they're landing, it's a foul. To say that Steph is getting more contact, man, that guy has no clue of how basketball was played in the 80s. And I guarantee you this, JJ Redick, if you had played in the 80s, this is Michael Cooper talking, I'd have locked your ass up. You wouldn't have got a shot off. You wouldn't have got nothing off. You had spent more time on the bench than on the floor.
I don't believe that either. I don't believe that. A lot of these old school players saying what they would do to these new school players. If you threw a new school player in their era, 9 times out of 10, they would adapt to it and they probably would still get buckets. It probably wouldn't be to the level of what they do now, where you're seeing 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70-point games like that. But stop it, bro. Stop it. Y'all was great defenders, but at the same time, y'all would get buckets put up on y'all. Now, JJ Redick ain't the greatest one, but Reggie Miller and Ray Allen would put up buckets on y'all in the 80s, bro.
When I was on the floor, you couldn't have played when I was on the court.
I mean, for JJ Redick to disrespect an entire generation of basketball players, what did he expect?
First of all, Redick don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm going to say it, right?
I agree.
He don't know what the hell he's talking about. I'm like, what basketball was you watching? To say something as idiotic as that is ridiculous. And for JJ Redick, who've played this game, I'm very disappointed that he has said something so stupid. When I hear that, and I'm like, you really don't know, do you? Yeah. We had our time. It was a great time. It's their time now.
Yes.
But don't crap on us to prove your point. Yeah. Because it doesn't make sense and it's not valid. I don't hate on these guys.
Honestly, I know I've stopped this video a few times, but the old school players crap on the new school players just as much. Players like Shaq, too, they crap on the new players a lot. They talk about the league in a whole a lot. They can't sit here and throw their hand and like throw their hand out there like they don't do it. They do it all the time. They talk bad about the league a lot of these times, and the moment anybody's mentioned to a certain player, they're immediately attacking players.
You're responding right now.
Yeah.
You're not.
I don't hate on these guys. These guys are great. I just don't like the disrespect.
Yeah. Yeah.
And to say that about Larry Bird, it's just a stupid comment to make.
Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, common basketball knowledge was lost. But hopefully, these Larry Bird stories enlighten you to why the world fell in love with basketball in the first place.
And this particular play down is a timeout, and they're coming down, and Larry gets me at the top of the key, and he's walking me underneath his basket. He goes, "Coop, I'm ready to wear your ass out." What? Okay, I get down to my best defensive stance. He goes down the lane. He comes off the left side, and Robert Parrish sets a pick. And we knew the play. We knew what was coming up. And Kareem was ready. And as Larry comes off the pick, shoulder to shoulder with Parrish, and I'm trailing behind him, he catches the basketball right about the elbow. And he gets the ball, and he goes up, and Kareem stops him from turning the corner. Larry catches the ball, he goes up in the air, and here I come. And I'm like, I'm getting ready to smash this shit, man. So I jump up, and I got my hand, and I don't know how Larry got this ball between Kareem and I, because Kareem had his hands up. I'm coming with my right hand, and he hit a great pass. Like I said, I don't know how he got it to him. Hits Robert Parrish, and Larry looks over his shoulder at me, and he laughs. He said, "I told you, motherfucker." And you know what?
But it's also had a telling effect on Michael Cooper underneath the basket. They're wearing him out.
That's what made Larry larger than life, because if anybody in today's game, maybe Steph Curry comes off that, they force that shot up there. They try to get the shot off, but that's the difference between Larry. That play right there softens you up for the next time. Now Kareem's not going to jump out. Now Larry's wide open and shoot the ball. So I would expect former players to really understand that, but I never ever discount another player at any decade. I hate Larry Bird, but I respect the hell out of that man. And Larry Bird was one of the greatest three-point shooters that's ever played this game. Fuck percentages. It ain't about that. It's about hitting big shots.
I'll say this. The numbers make the case for Stephen Curry. The moments make the case for Larry Bird. That's just what it is. Steph Curry has the numbers to be the top shooter of all time. Larry Bird has the moments. It's all about what you prefer. It's been your boy Carl from Golden Grimmon Productions. Until the next video, man. Peace.